Okay, folks, good morning. And Nordic is here. Wow. Let's hope that's not a bad sign. I hope that's not a bad sign that you're doubled over in pain or something like that. But I think you can pretty much make your schedule, right? I mean, you could just decide you're going to be awake. You get up at 6 p.m. and stay up till 9 a.m. if you wanted to, right? No reason to not have a reverse schedule. I did that many, many years ago when I was interning where I work now. Many, many years ago, and I worked a shift that started at midnight. And it was pretty awesome. Of course, I was single at the time, and it was like, okay, get off work and go shopping, and there's nobody but a bunch of old ladies there, you know. Jared Heino, welcome. Welcome back. So I need to clear my desk a little bit, so because we got a little bit of chaos here, more chaos than I would like, to the point where I don't know where the hell I put the screens for these little things. But we're almost done with the 234.1, and I was surprised on my Facebook post how many people were like either couldn't complete this or thought I was crazy for doing it, or it's not worth their time to work on these things. That's like really empowering. That's like, damn it, I'm going to make more of them. And it's not because, I'm trying to be difficult, but these were like $8 a piece. And I was able to use my credit. And I'm pretty satisfied with it. Now, if the internet hadn't been invented, these would suck because the instruction, I would have built it in the wrong places. But honestly, the suspension on these things, for those of you guys that watch me do the suspension on it is really solid. I mean, you don't want to, vroom, vroom, push down on it kind of thing, but you just have to assemble it carefully, and you have to assemble it in the order of your choosing. Other than that, I really don't have any gripes about this thing. Everything on this fit well. It just the instructions weren't clear, or they were 180 degrees wrong. They'd tell me that a part that needed to be here really is a part that needs to be here. It was mirror imagely wrong. See, I make up my own words, but now I still haven't been able to figure out where the steering things go, and I'm not going to put them in the wrong place. I'd rather just not put them on to begin with. So we're going to punt on that, but I'm pretty happy with this thing. Now, would I go out and buy, I price these things out on the internet. Would I go out and buy this thing for $17 shipped? No, I wouldn't do that. But I already have them. So it's like, might as well build them. And I've got another one of these to do. I have the one with the short 75 to do. And I have the one with the pack 40 to do. And I'm probably going to do them in a row. It's a cool looking vehicle. I think it's going to paint up really well. And the thing that I disliked the most about it? I didn't like putting the two halves of the wheels together. I just feel that that's like uber tedious. But I mean, it really fit together really well. So the fact that a lot of people are like, I can't be bothered with that, or it's too difficult, or it's worse than it. One guy even said it was worse than an ACE kit, which I have heard horror stories about an ACE kit. That's empowering. That's like, okay, I'm not going to be scared of ACE kits. But although I heard ACE kits don't go together well, and that's a bridge I don't want to cross. So, what do we got here? Well, you're watching Last of the Mohicans and was heading to bed, but I started getting intestinal cramps a few minutes ago, so now it isn't happening until my meds kick in. So, Last of the Mohicans. I knew a guy that was in the movie. Or he said he was in the movie. He was an extra of a British soldier. He's a guy who used to come to the hobby store all the time. And he claimed, and I'm going to say he claimed because, I don't know. I mean, if somebody tells me something is not true and I pass it on to you, I don't want it to reflect the fact that, I didn't check up on it, or, hey, you're a liar. No, I take people as their face value. Anyways, he claimed he was in this movie, and what he did for a living, according to him, was he made uniforms for people. And he's like, yeah, I'm the, I said, well, where are you in the movie? Where are you the extra? I said, I'm like, when we're walking through the column or whatever, and Magua goes crazy and buries his hatchet in somebody, that's me. I'm like, well, I can't really tell it's you, but okay, I'll take your word for it. So I remember back in the day, what did you say, it was 92? I thought the battle scenes were great back in the day. I just, I didn't like, I didn't like the feel of the movie. It just was really a depressing movie. But I liked it. So about a year ago, I'm like, my daughter's old enough. Let's watch it. Let's have her watch the movie. And the movie didn't age well, and my daughter wasn't interested. And here's the thing about, we made it through about 20 minutes. The thing that made the movie not age well is there was a lot of scenes. There's a lot of stuff that happens in movies that you can't put your finger on it until you're asked to. Almost like if you're like dissecting a poem or something like that. And there was a lot of screenshots that were very done old school, where everybody's in a scene and there might be one person talking in it, but they're all in the scene with like 7 or 8 people. And generally movies aren't done that way anymore. It usually focuses on the person, and then it goes out, and then it goes back in, and then it goes out. And it was almost kind of done like a play. Anyways, it didn't grab my daughter, and it didn't grab me, and I didn't finish watching it. But it's not a movie that I disliked. So I'll give it another shot if it comes on again. But I liked it the first time. It was just a really, really depressing movie. But the battle scenes were pretty cool. If I was around my age, I'm 1992, literally happened in my backyard, takes more interested in period. Yeah, probably enjoy Spanish. So I'm very into early American colonial period, especially French and Indian War, the American. Good morning, Marcus. We're here extra early. I woke up before my alarm again. So let me do some maintenance here. Let's get rid of the pens. And see if I can find that piece that I am missing. And I'd love to run a little vacuum cleaner here, but the missus is asleep. Now we only have half as many women in the house. This little fake road wheel, we're not going to keep that. Let's bring the garbage can up here. I'm going to keep that for the extra pieces. What the hell's in here? Oh, nothing. Okay. Yeah, I don't know where the thing is. I just set it off to the side, so I'm sure it's here somewhere. I'm not going to dig for it too deep. Oh, I got 2 of these. Good. Oh, there you go. You forgot my on air. Well, my producer's not here. I haven't even had any coffee this morning. All right. Now it's official. Oh, it's still not official. Now it's official. There you go. Yeah, you buy things not to use them, not just have them sit there and not be open. All right, what's this? This is a piece of metal. We got lots of T-pins. The other thing, there's a couple things that really surprised me. Another thing that really surprises me is when I use pins and needles a lot, because the metal, first of all, they're really inexpensive and they're easy to get. Well, they used to be really inexpensive. This thing used to be about $1.50. And I bought it the other day, it was like $5. I'm like, thanks. But people are like, oh man, how do you keep them from poking you on the fingers? I'm like, have you heard of a file? Just file it, Just use a file, man. Certainly you have one of those. Yeah, we got to get rid of all this chaos. It's just distracting. It slows down the whole process. Somebody was saying that I'm working at a pretty good pace. Thank you. I try to. You know, sometimes you get distracted and talk about different things. Let's just hang out and talk hobby, you know. Don't have to get these done by a certain time. We'll see how long we got to do. I got to do some yard work, unbelievably. Not a lot. And then we've got some people coming in to see the house, supposedly. The good news is that forces us to not have... I might have put it in one of these boxes. Not having shoes and stuff like that everywhere, you know, things that happen. This kind of stuff, like in your house, but, you know, obviously not this bad. It's not like, oh, you got sandwich bags and shit everywhere. Although I'm sure some of you live that way. I remember this story. This one guy was telling me that he went to this guy's house to play a game many, many years ago. And this guy had old pizza boxes. Old pizza boxes from a place that went out of business 10 years before. You know, just seas of garbage. Sailing the seas of garbage. And other than that being gross, it's extremely distracting. You have all kinds of crap there that's not supposed to be there in your field of view. It's not here, so I probably dropped it in one of these boxes over here. That does not go in the garbage can. This is a spare wheel that we may or may not use. I haven't done a full plunge on that yet. I'm working on my mold. I think that's good enough. This does not need to be here. These sandpaper I've gotten plenty of use out of. I still cut it in tiny bits, so. Okay, I think now we can go back. Let's keep the garbage on that side. I'm excruciatingly right-handed anyways. It shouldn't be on the left side of me. So these Tamiya clippers have definitely proven their worth. I'm very happy with them. This is an example of something that would have been much more difficult to do without them, because it has a lot of small pieces that are brittle that I would have had to do all kinds of calisthenics to make sure that the piece didn't break before I got it on the model. All right, let me take everything out of here and make sure I didn't drop it in here. And if not, I'm just going to go on to something else. It will turn out. I'm pretty organized, but sometimes I get in a rush and I go, hey, I'll put that over there. And then it doesn't get lost. I find it later, but I don't find it when I want to find it. So Stickum goes here. And by the way, anybody that says, oh, this rodent kits are a pain in the ass to put together, don't get a UMMT, because this is a mother breeze compared to this. I don't know where it is. I'm done looking for it. I'm done looking for it. It will turn out. I don't lose shit. I misplace stuff, unfortunately. So we got a couple other things to put on here that aren't these little, oh, here it is. See, karma has to hear, oh, you're not going to look for it? Well, there it is right in front of your face, asshole. You know, that's, here it is. It's almost like a wedding veil material. All right. It's the kind of stuff that I'm sure happens to all of us. Just don't let it get you down. Let's see if we can cut ourselves nice and good today. 2 days in a row. By the way, I do need to make one of you guys, I think it was Ben. Ben was saying, make sure what the record of this thing is. All right. So we're going to, this is the one that was blessed by blood. I'm going to put a marking on it. I'm going to put an etching on here. Got a B on there. I am not superstitious, but I love stats. I am not superstitious, but I love stats. It's something to talk about. Only if they're accurate. Let's play it sometime. What's the strange bit left on the beige sprue? That's the top of this little guy. 2-piece. I think I'm gonna make it closed. I mean, there's no crew. Even if there is a crew, man, they're like, this makes like a bathroom lavatory look like spacious, you know? And you don't have a freaking autocannon in your face spewing shells. You need to straighten up your hobby desk later on today as well. Glad you're getting great use out of those clippers. Yeah, thanks for the suggestion, man. I hope we're here to help each other out. I hope you guys, well, a couple people have told me that they have done things that they saw on here. Perfect, you know? And I hope it works for you. I don't want to lead you astray, you know? I don't want to say, hey, sell this. You need to buy some of this stuff. Like, nobody's paying me. I mean, nobody's ever said, hey, you want to use our products? And if they did, I'd be like, I'll buy them on my own, you know, because I'm not a salesy kind of person. You know, I don't want to be like, you got to do a disclosure if you're promoting some kind of product. You're supposed to do that if on a YouTube channel. If you're sponsored by somebody, you're supposed to do that disclosure. I'm never going to do that disclosure because guess what? I'm not sponsored by anybody. Free agent. If I buy a product that's crap, you'll know about it. Okay, let's make sure. Okay, we left the screens off. Perfect. Here is the steering column that I couldn't get in there, and you can't frickin' see anyways. So, not worried about that. All of this is done. All of this is done. We didn't put the antennas. I don't know that I'm going to either. They're kind of short, and I really like using wire. I'll skip the antenna. There's one on the back of the turret too, and I think there is, but yet there's no spot for it. Maybe it's not on here, but I've seen pictures of it. All this is done. All that we didn't add these little. I don't know what the hell they're called. I'm gonna find out in a couple days and be like, that's right, they're called whatever joints. But freaking every car has them. Your car doesn't turn. Okay, 14A. Oh, that's what it is. It looks like there's one on the turret here, but it's just shown on here twice. Like they show you installing it, and they show you installing it again. Like, this kit fits together really well. The pieces aren't all marked in the correct places. They're not marked at all, which I guess if you want to make one devoid of all these accoutrements on here, it's handy because you don't have to sand those things down. However, the drawing doesn't always match the same place where it is on the photo. Oh yeah, it is. Here's two antennas. I'm just seeing an extra pieces here, and I don't see where they go other than this steering column here. Not the steering thingies. Oh, okay, 8A is this piece, which is black, which goes on the, which does the mesh. Oh, you want me to cut little pieces of mesh like that? Oh, I'll do it, but I'm going to do it now. I don't have enough energy in me. All right, fair enough. So it looks like she's done other than that. So I'm going to, there's a couple little baggies floating around here somewhere. They fit in here? They do. Okay. I'm going to put these two little baggies. Well, I didn't know it was going to be that tight of a fit. I'll put that steering wheel in case I change my mind or something. And most importantly, the veil for the wedding. Along with the interior that was unnecessarily built. Like, you wouldn't have been able to see anything. Like, this is actually the front. Here it is side by side. How could you have even been able to see this back here? It's not possible. Either you give me a full interior or you don't. I don't know. We won't build it on the other one. Okay? I'm not going to throw that away or anything. We're just going to move them to the side. That's the other thing. These things are so light you can stack them on different things. They don't damage anything. Universal U-joint? Maybe it's a U-joint. Maybe it is a U-joint. I know what it is. I've worked on cars enough. Not enough, but a long time ago. Wish I did it now instead of, well, not for a living. That's a job that's even hotter than the one I already have. No thanks. My next job is going to be like, in a cooler or something like that. Okay. You put the map for Hitler's Last Gamble from 1989 into the plexiglass clip to counters, and I just need to read the rules and set up play. Ardennes offensive. I hear Hitler's Last Gamble, and I don't think of Battle of the Bulge. I think of the push into Hungary. Because that's really kind of the last one. Because that was later than Battle of the Bulge. But I'm not naming games. Choose. Even though this is not a democracy. This is a benign dictatorship. I had a teacher that said that many years ago. I never forgot. I was in high school or some shit like that. We can either build another one of these, just like the one we did, except hopefully I find the fender, which is here somewhere. I'd rather not do, no, I'm taking that off the table. I don't want to look for a fender, which is here somewhere. We can do the Spahwageness, or the 234-3. Which one do you want me to do next? Pick this one. Pick this one. Really? There's a skull on the front of this? It's not bad enough that you're a frickin' Nazi. You gotta put skulls and shit on your things. Come on, man. I bet it didn't even come with a skull. You want to do the Spahwageness? Spahwageness. 2-1. Wait, you retract your pick. Which pick? Oh, you like the one because of the skull on there? What do I get if you pick the Spahwageness? You get to see me put the Spahwageness together. What are you, dense? If I put this one together, you get to see me put this one together. It's an early 40K vehicle. Yeah. What is that? What creature would that be? Is there a bunch of like battle cows? It's cows with guns. You're tired and on drugs. Let's do the Spahwagen. Let's do a Spahwagen because I've done one of these before. I'm gonna open it and make sure there's no skull in there. Where is it? And then we'll do the Spahwagen. T-34 liberated by a Texan. Ooh. Does it have different license plate numbers than the early one? You better. That's right. You know it. If there's one skull you have to do, it's that one. It just looks out of place. So, in the effort of pulling everything out of my shelves and trashing my room, this book that I've mentioned before, which I think at some point I'm going to try to read it to you guys. I'm going to try to contact the publishers and read it, at least one of the stories or whatever. This short stories, I've talked about this before. This is a local author that was a history guy, and he did this set of short stories. This is available on Amazon for an absurd amount, like over $200. And I'm not selling my copy, and this isn't worth $200. I mean, it's great, but there's a bunch of short stories in here, and the very first short story involves this platoon of Panther tanks in like 44, if I remember correctly. I haven't read this in like 30 years, so. It's got a bunch of T-34s with like skulls on them and stuff. Like these Germans it's taught from the German viewpoint. The stories go from both viewpoints. 2/3 of them are from German viewpoints, and 1/3 of them are from a Soviet viewpoint. And the first one is from a German viewpoint, and it involves I remember like Russians with like human remains and stuff put on their T-34s to scare the Germans. And I remember that from this story. So, but that was the Russians doing it, not the Germans. I gotta remember where the hell this came out of. Let's put it right here. Okay. Nobody expects the Spahwagen. You keep talking like that. I may have to build this one next. So is it the Spahwagen? Is that what you guys want to see? I don't care that much either way. And I'm not going to do an unboxing on it. I would have had to already do the video. And I can do it after it's already built. People can get over it. This is a super late vehicle. I'm going to paint this in a late war German paint scheme. Like a 1945 paint scheme. This is a very late war vehicle. Let's see what we got inside this guy. This is the replacement for the Airfix one, which is an abortion. So I have heard. Meaning the body is completely wrong. Same uninspiring decals. There's the Pack 40. All right. Let's put this 231 up. Yeah, I was surprised how many people were like, there's no way I could build that. It's too complicated. Or I'm like, it wasn't that bad. These T-26s are infinitely worse. And they will get built. All the T-20, especially if people say, oh, you can't build that. It's too difficult. I'm like, okay. Not even more reason to put them together. Would I pay full price for these things? No. $8? Yeah, you can't beat these things for $8. I'm actually, I think improving my skill set by doing these. And it's not frustrating. I mean, if I was improving my skill set and getting frustrated, okay, that's not good. All right, we're gonna need Mr. Pencil. Wow, this gun shield looks closer to scale thickness than anything I've seen before. That's cool. If you worry about that. Where's Mr. Mech Pencil? All right. Let's see where they want me to start, and I'm not going to start there because I'm putting the two holes together and shit like that. I'm marching to the toot of my own horn. Ooh, they want you to do the bit. Oh, that's 12. I'm like, man, they want you to do the business end stuff first. Cool. Well, here they have better instructions on the inside. What's step 1? Do the fenders right away. The harder the kit is to build, the better your skills get. That's why building just Tamiya kits is bad for hobbyists. Well, you need to start there. You'll give up on a hobby. You know? If the kit doesn't go together worth a damn, I'm not in favor of that. Like, if this had been an Eschi kit with this many parts, this might have gone flying. Well, it wouldn't have gone flying at the wall. I might have smashed it with a hammer or something. That just, the Eschi. I have a 3/4 ton Dodge truck. The pieces that are in there are just flat wrong. It will not work. Now, that was about a year ago that I tried to build it. I'm going to go back to it. I didn't throw it away. And I'm probably going to make it work, you know, when you look at it from the top side. But this thing goes together really well. Like, really well. It just doesn't have markings for things that would normally be. And you need to consult other photos. But, I mean, it's well detailed. It doesn't have a ton of flash. I don't really have anything bad to say about it. The MG42 is nicely detailed. You know, I don't really have anything bad to say about it. You know, it's $8. I was able to use my credit on it. You know, it takes longer to build. Okay, sure, but who cares? All right. I'm not building the fenders first. I didn't do it on the other one. The pack 40 I will build first. That's step 2. Yeah. Build things in the order you want to. It's not like this is some religion you have to blindly follow. All right, let's cut all these usual suspects out. Where's the business end of the Pack 40? Which, you know, one thing that was always strange, Nordic, and you'll get this. Oh, look at this. They give you 2 gun shields. Is there any quality control in Poland? You'll get this. Command decision, right? The short 75 millimeter gun that's on the Panzer IVs, or the one that's even on that on the support one, the 234-3, that's a 75 L24. It's 24 caliber long. It's not the infantry gun, which is a 12. The next one, when they get the Mark IV Special, which is the F2, which then became the G. The F2 with a bulbous nose. They only made a couple of them. And they didn't make that many of them before they went to the actual double muzzle brake. Is the 75 L43. The 24 doesn't manifest itself on anything other than our vehicle. It's not a field piece. You don't see any of them laying around. I mean, infantry guns, yes. They didn't put the 75 millimeter infantry gun that I can think of on any vehicles. If they had a short 75 on the vehicles, it was a 75 L24, which they put on all the early Panzer IVs. They put them on close support vehicles like the 250 slash crap. I don't know. The 9 had the 20 millimeter cannon. I've never built one of those, but they know they put it on some half tracks. They put it on the armored car. It was never a field piece by itself. The 43, when it was upgunned to the 43, the Mark IV specials, they called them in the desert, it was never put on a field piece for anything either. And the first batch had the bulbous nose with a bulbous muzzle brake. And then eventually they went to a muzzle brake that looked like this, the double baffled one. But it was also a 43 caliber gun, which was the G, which turned out to be a G. And they cranked out about over 1,000 Gs. So that was right about at the time period where the German production with vehicles really started cranking up. So there's a lot more Gs and F2s and F1s for that matter. But this was never, not this one, but the G's gun, the 43, was never put on a field piece. Now the Pac 40, which is this one, was the 75 millimeter anti-tank gun. According to Command Decision, it's a 75 L46. Yet, at the same time, this gun was being put on the Mark IVs, and on the Mark IVs, it was a 48. I don't know why. I don't know why it's 46 and then 48. I mean, given it's only 2 caliber differences, so it's probably, and J have. The Jagdpanzer IV originally, that kind of stuff. So it always surprised me why it was off by 2 calibers. Soviet Russia quality control controls you, comrade. 250 crap. Yeah, you have. You know what it is. It's a 250. 250 is the smaller half track. It's not the full size German half track, which is a 251. And there's one, I want to say it's the 8. It's either the 7 or the 8. I'm not a huge fan of the 250 series. You can't carry a full squad or anything in there. And they kind of showed up later on the scene. SDKFZ 250 slash, I'm going to go with 7. Oh, and it just takes me to the regular thing. No, the 7's a mortar carrier. Okay, the 9's the one that has a 20 millimeter cannon in the back. The same one from the 234-1. Let's see. 253 is the Funk. It's got the Funkwagen. The mortar carrier is the 7. It's the 8. 250/8. SPG version carrying the short 75 millimeter L24 howitzer with 20 rounds in store. That's not a lot of rounds. Production started in the spring of 43 with the Alta chassis, then switched to the new chassis in 44. Yeah, I like the Alta chassis better than the new. Yeah. Never built one of those, so. The Puma is nicknamed crap. You're just being a contrarian. You disliking the Puma is like me disliking Kelly's Heroes. We're the only ones. We're like the only set. I'm the only person that dislikes Kelly's Heroes. You're the only person that doesn't like the Puma. Speaking of Puma, get a kick out of this. Back when I was playing Flames of War, I actually had a Puma company and traded it to another guy in the store for a Fallschirmjäger. What did the Puma do to you, man? It's a sexy beast. I don't like the fact that it's a 2-man turret, but... All right. Time to cut the business end out, which I'm sure we're going to have to drill the barrel out, which I kind of enjoy, honestly. Okay. There's the business end. Now let me make sure I don't get too carried away and start cutting out too many pieces that are similar. But I would like to cut all these guys out. Prefers Adidas. He's old school. Yeah, I don't have Pumas. I'm an Adidas fan. Which is the Adidas armored car. You know those guys were brothers? The Puma and the Adidas guys. There's actually quite a few situations like that where a couple family members start something and then they're like, let's do this. Fuck you. I'm starting my own company. And then they end up being like competitors. I'm like, okay. Family reunions, I'm sure, are fun. I don't know if it's still in family members or whatever, but I looked that up several years ago. You could have a lot of fun on Wikipedia just looking up stuff like, what's the deal with this? What did I look up the other day? Izod and Lacoste. Back in the 80s. Well, I didn't get any of them fancy shirts when I was a kid. I didn't get to wear fancy preppy clothes because my parents weren't made of money. But yeah, I looked up the history of those two and, you know, how they merged. And it's interesting. You can find a lot of, you know, just on products and stuff like that. It's just interesting. No, I'm not riled up about it. I just think it's odd, you know. But hey, toot your own horn. March to your own tooted horn. All right, here's the 10 piece. Let's cut that one out. When you're walking down the street in your neighborhood, if anybody looks at you funny, they probably watched my show and said, oh, there's that weirdo that doesn't like the Puma. That'd be like saying somebody found the Panther tank really unattractive. That's like, nobody thinks that. I mean, sure, there's some versions of it that maybe the paint scheme on it looks stupid, but a Panther tank's a good-looking tank. It's got good lines. There's some things that people, I think, can generally agree on World War II stuff. That's like saying, you know, the Scharnhorst is an ugly ship. How do you look at the Scharnhorst and say the Scharnhorst is an ugly ship? It's a beautiful ship. I mean, it's wicked looking, which is not the same as ugly. A lot of German stuff is wicked looking. Most German things are wicked looking. But there's people that, you know, you're entitled to your own opinion. Knock it off with those negative waves. Yeah, man, pass the doob. Panther would be the best looking tank if it came in Panzer Gray. So I don't know whether that's accurate or not. It might be accurate. But I saw a guy that did a diorama. It might be on Scalemates, where he decided to paint a Panther tank in gray. And I lost part of my soul when I saw it. It looks so wrong. The only time I've seen the Panther and Panzer Gray work is on the cover of a video game that I never got to play because I didn't have a Commodore 64. Back in the day, everything was available for Commodore 64. We're talking like mid-late 80s. And this was, what was it? Whatever their Panzer game that was, Panzerwaffe or whatever it was called, and it had like this, what is it called? The Panzer Fist formation, and it was Panzer IIIs, 4s, and Panthers all in it, all in Panzer Gray. I never got to play that. I'm like, oh, it looks pretty cool there. Most French stuff looks crap. You know, I do like their playing cards and their hearts, and there's something about something having a heart on you and blowing. Yeah, I don't like their hard edge camo swirly stuff, but the French stuff in 40 looks better than building French in 44 when it's just American kit rebranded. I wouldn't build. I'd have no interest in building French or Canadians because it's just like building the other nation that has the equipment, but yeah, they're really I don't have anything against Canadians. It's just I don't want to build their stuff that looks the same as the British stuff, but rebrand a little bit different. Panther tank, most friends. It's okay. Painted up a panther in gray with green lighting on it, just to piss someone off in the gaming group. Still making friends, I see. I don't know. There's people in the game, and sometimes in your game group, depending who it is, they probably deserve to get upset or whatever. I don't know. It's your tank. You can build it however you want. There's some paint schemes for tanks, Panthers in particular, that you look at them, for like decals or maybe in Panzer colors. You're like, there's no way I would paint it that way, because I don't care if they really painted a vehicle that way. If I went and did it, it just doesn't look right. So, that's your artistic license, is you get to take reality and kind of bend it, if things don't seem appropriate to you as the creator. I'm going to do the inner workings, and then we'll work our way out. So we need 9H, which should be here. It is. Okay. The cradle on the gun, or the thing it slides on. The two sides. This piece that goes inside, and 14H, because that goes inside of that as well. We'll put all that together as a sub-assembly. Yeah, this maneuver right here, what I'm about to do, is a pain in the ass without good clippers. It can be done, but man, you're like, let me not brag about these clippers. They might screw me on this one right here. This piece, 14 to get it out. That piece right there. You got to put something underneath that to cut this. So this is the most delicate one. We'll cut it first, and it won't even budge. It won't even move from the location it's at. It budged a little bit. That's it. Once you get it off the sprue, the likeliness of it breaking is greatly reduced. Well, depending on your abilities, I tend to not break things at that point. The wolf man cometh. All right, here is all the pieces for the business end of this thing. All right, let's see how we are on... Okay, we're still good on that. Let's trim this thing up, drill out the barrel. All right, let's trim these up as much as we can. And I would watch Kelly's Heroes again. I've only seen it one time. I saw it when I was in my early 20s. So it was a while ago. But the music just hit me it was just too much of a hippie vibe. And I like all the cast. So it's not a cast issue. I like all those actors. I don't even mind being in a movie together. As opposed to, what's that movie that everybody was in? The Expendables. Yeah, no. I tried watching that, and I've heard people really like that movie. I don't know if they're being serious, but I guess you're entitled to like something, even though I don't understand how. But I tend to start preferring movies that I don't like who the actors are. Like, okay, can you hire somebody else? And if you hire somebody else, you save a lot of money. You know that. You don't have to pay them as much. Mr. Barnes, was that video live or just uploaded the weird way to be like? What video? I don't know what I missed. Boots on the table. don't know that I'm subscribed to his channel. It sounds really familiar. His video reacting to the dweeb at Midwinter Miniatures made me laugh. First painted Airfix Panther was painted slate gray. It was from the D-Day Battlefront set, and they only gave you 4 bottles of paint. You know, I remember when we were a kid, you just like, oh, it comes in gray. I don't have to paint it. Warlord Games has a Kelly's miniature set. Yeah, what was that game? Heroes of Normandy has a lot of Kelly's Hero stuff in it. I really wanted to like that game. And they were demoing it at Historicon, and Luke and I went, and we broke the game. We basically like, well, can you do this? Oh, nobody's ever tried to do that before. I'm like, are they not experienced wargamers? I mean, you always like, you know, here's the rules, and you try to squeeze everything you can out of the rules, do it. And if the game allows you to do it, then you need to fix that. And they were like, oh, nobody's ever tried that before. I'm like, I did have it on iPad for a little bit and played it some, but it's a beautiful looking game. It's a beautiful looking game. It simulates stuff that I don't want to simulate. It's a little too basic. You know, the game that's a video game and is really basic, but I generally really like, and I played it quite a bit, was Battle Academy. I think Battle Academy looks really good. It looks like little micro armor guys, and they're cute. The martyrs are cute and everything, and the board is stylized, but it's still not super hokey looking. I really like Battle Academy. So it's not like the game has to be 100% realistic looking. It just has to have the right vibe for me. Dom Boots on the Ground occasionally drops by. Yeah, it sounds familiar. What's some of y'all's favorite YouTube channels? Maybe something I should check out. And I don't watch enough of other people's YouTube stuff. I just don't, and I don't do it for any reason other than I just forget. I don't have time. There's lots of people make better content than I do. I'm just hanging out doing my thing. Look at that! I almost cut myself again. We don't need another Bloodwagen. I'm surprised that many people are doing Patreon stuff. Now, I don't know how successful they are. I have no interest in it. You know, I don't like taking money from people. I just don't. I know it's people giving you money, and it's different, but I'm just not interested in that. That's not my shtick. Fortunately, I don't need the money. You know, we can all use the money, but I don't need the money. That's not what I'm interested in. Like when I first started doing DBA tournaments, the mode of operation of running a DBA tournament is the organizer would go around and he would ask everybody for however much it was, $5. And he would grab all the money together and he would go to one of the vendors who happened to have DBA stuff. And he's like, you know, here's this amount of money. Can I get a gift certificate from you for $30 and one for $50 and one whatever? And I'm like, I just don't want to do that. I don't like asking people for money. I don't like going door to door to people. Because I don't like it when people do it to me. I don't like being put in a situation that I need to say something that's not how I truly feel. My mom has a friend of hers who is an artist, and I've seen her work. I don't care for it. And she's a real paint artist, not this fake painting that we do. And oh, we should go over to her house so you can see her stuff. I'm like, oh, I don't want to be put in a situation where I have to say that's nice and I really don't like it, you know. So yeah, I don't like doing things that don't allow me to be my genuine self. And I don't like asking people for money. So I quickly stopped that. I'm like, okay, if I'm gonna run tournaments, I'll just give the little plaque thing away. It's just a memento. The same people are winning the tournaments all the time. They don't need any more armies. They've already bought into the game. Let's just have fun and have a little memento for whatever. And it was successful for a while. You like Kings and Generals. Is that a real person's voice or is that computer animated? A computer created? Like, who's the guy who has the weird voice who does the model kits from Australia? Let me think of what his name. Herb Erpaderp. That's actually the guy's voice. For the longest time, I thought that was computer generated. Like, I don't know anybody who speaks that way. One of your favorites is a small channel by a priest in Canada, interesting, called The Dungeon Minister. That's a cool name. He runs recaps of his basic Dungeons and Dragons game with his kids and wife. Well, there's somebody who's always fighting to be the cleric. Storm of Steel. I've seen Storm of Steel. He's actually pretty interesting. He's pretty easy to understand. And he's got a heavyish accent, but I have no problem understanding him. Plastic Crack. Oh, man, that's great. That guy gets brownie points for that name. Plastic Crack. All right, where's my homework assignment sheet? What's this? A receipt for Joann's? It's not going back. T-Pins? Not selling it back. All right. Plastic Crack. Plastic Crack. Dungeon Minister. Try not to miss Plastic Crack podcast. First time I've heard of it. So my wife gets back, and my wife, she's kind of feeling under the weather because of dropping my daughter off, because she says that her whole life has been revolving around her, and it has. I'm like, I don't know what to do in my life. So, well, come on my feed. I'll get more viewers that way. I said, all the people that are on, all the people that are on my show now know how to behave. They've seen a woman before. I'm half kidding. I don't say anything here that I wouldn't say in front of my wife, so it's not like I've got to behave differently. We'll figure it out. Because she doesn't really have a hobby or anything, so. She's good at everything that I'm not good at, so cooking and shit like that. It kind of comes in handy because we're not like arguing. Like, I have seen people. This would be, talk about the wrong people for me to marry. The wrong person for me to marry is somebody who thought they were better at directions than I am, telling me where to go. That ain't gonna work, okay? I am God's gift to directions. I really am. I suck at this, painting figures, everything compared to directions. I don't know. I got it from my dad. I pride myself on that incredibly. So being with somebody who wants to, and I've seen that before, one couple in particular, and they would argue incessantly about, no, it's left over here. I'm like, I couldn't deal with that. I couldn't deal with somebody who would constantly being that would be undermining my direction ability. That'd be like, living with somebody who wants the house at 90 degrees and I want it at 72. Like, sorry, we got to part ways. I also don't speak German, but generally like the pictures on Bas Bakuf's segments. Never heard of them. I think I mentioned before. I don't think so, but I'll look it up. Oh, we having things fly around. Bakuf. Sounds like a mistake you made. You made a Bakuf. Bakuffz. Oh, hold on. I got to do a German Z. There we go. As opposed to a German 7. I linked you to the Dungeon Minister's channel. While Tony builds, Mrs. can roast him from the couch. She reads a novel. Well, she could probably read a book while other sounds were going on. I would not be able to do that. She roasts me? That's a funny name for a BJ. Oh, man. Nah, she's cool. She's really cool. I'm the one that's hard to get along with. Everybody likes her. All right, how do we get this piece of flash? There we go. And they put a spot that needs to be filled in there. I'm going to, hopefully, the piece is in there so tight you don't have to see that. Because that's, especially since I don't know where the hell my Vallejo putty went. It's in the closet somewhere. Packed everything. We packed everything in a hurry because, gotta show the house, gotta show the house, gotta show the house. Apparently some of us don't know how to behave. Yep. I have a feeling this is going to be a tight enough fit, you're not going to be able to see it. All right, this is the bottom, which means we have a knick-knack on the top of the gun. Not a fan of that. It's stuff like this that I feel it's really advantageous. I never really was able to capitalize on it before. To take my contacts out. Is that a built-in 6.0 magnification? And it just, you're just aware of all this detail. I could see it before when I would do this with my contacts in with 20/20 vision, but you're just more like in tune with it. And honestly, you get to enjoy all the nooks and crannies of and the parts of the model more. It's not that it's any better, it's just, I don't know, it's just more enjoyable. However, I'm also more clumsy because I'm like a mole. I don't really see what's out here 2 feet away, but so if you ever look at me looking at a computer like, why the hell has he got his face all up the computer? I can't freaking see. You know, I got to get like this close to get on there. Pretty sure that would have to be an OnlyFans page. Never been to an OnlyFans page. I think I know what it is, but tell me about OnlyFans. Is anybody have an OnlyFans? Is there an OnlyFans page out there that is not sexually explicit, or that's kind of that'd be like going on Tinder and not wanting to hook up, which I also don't know anything about. Or is there any is there hobby OnlyFans stuff, or is it just always, you know, self-promoted soft or hard porn on OnlyFans? I don't know anything about it, other than I recognize what it is. That's a new thing, man. It's only been around a few years. I don't keep up with the times. No idea. No money for that crap. Yeah. You know, if you really wanted to see stuff that was explicit, why pay any money for it? It's not like there's not free stuff out there. It may not be exactly the person you want, but if that's what you're into, you can spend no money on it. All right, it's time for another Coke. It's either that or make coffee. I don't want to make coffee. That's too acidic. And I really haven't had anything for breakfast. I'll be right back in a moment. As you can see, this is not like something that's like really, really fast. You can build this in a hurry, but then you're going to have flash and stuff on here. Oh, did my cut from yesterday reactivate? No? That could have been one that bled a long time. Any small cut or nick around your fingers, like a paper cut, man, I was going to say the ones you don't feel, but that's not true. Paper cuts hurt like crazy considering they're nothing. can hurt like crazy. I remember the biggest injury I think that I've ever had. I'm trying to think what the biggest injury I've ever had. Part of, except the car accident, which I really didn't get injured that badly. I hit under the undercarriage of the steering wheel and hard, and I had a couple of blisters that formed by my knees, which looked really, really, really bad, but ended up like they just ended up going away. But I didn't break anything or anything. But the worst injury that I could think I had was I was climbing on a truck, a tractor trailer, and I put my hand on they call it a headache rack, but it's really it's the board that goes on the trailer that if your load shifts forward, it doesn't go, it provides some resistance from it not ending up in the cab of the driver. So it's on the front of the trailer, the headboard. And I had my hand on it, and it was aluminum. And I was climbing up the tire, and my foot slipped, and I cut a gash in my hand. I don't remember which one it was. It was probably my left one, the way I was climbing up. And it was like from here all the way to here. And it wasn't deep that it needed stitches, but man, it bled like crazy. And I didn't even feel it. It was weird. It was really, really weird to just be like severely bleeding and like no pain. You know, and sometimes you get a paper cut, which you can't even see, and it stings like a mother, you know? Back in the Bic, need to walk the dog. Yeah, that's something I've never had to do. I've never had to walk a dog. It's would be really weird if I had to walk a dog considering I don't have one. All right. Let's test fit all the pieces, and I bet I'm going to have to drill these things out bigger because they're almost closed in. So let's go ahead and do that right off the bat, because I know that's going to be an issue. Wrist injury is probably snapping my Achilles tendon. Worst pain was definitely kidney stones. I've heard that. I've heard that that's brutal. Is that a one-time thing, or you got a condition where you produce too much calcium or whatever? And the only reason I say that, I had a coworker or a guy that worked for me that consistently was doubled over in pain from it, and that's what he said. He says his body produced too much calcium, and there's no way to prevent that other than death. So he would get them about every year. And he worked for me for about 15 years, so he got them a lot. That might be a little too over the top. Let's see how this fits. Because one thing that happens is some of this weld cement, I don't think it's a problem with Rodin. But some of the weld cement, some of these manufacturers like melts the stuff. And the next thing you know, I've got well, it all melts the stuff, but it melts it too fast. And next thing you know is it's not connected by anything. It'll melt this whole little top section off. And I'd like for it to stay connected till it's together. Okay, that should do it. We should be good enough with that. Four times now, you're a stoner. Wow. Twice more to catch up to the wife on pregnancies. Wow, cranking them out, huh? Are you counting other people's kids too, or just the ones you have with her? I don't know. There's different ways to count different things. Okay, this is the piece that goes over there. Then this one goes over here. This one goes here. Okay, that fits in there all right. And that stupid piece is blocked, so you don't have to look at that thing. All right, let's just proceed really carefully with this. No, from her first husband. Oh. I can't imagine what it's like, and a lot of people have to deal with this, and it's not like it's an unusual situation, but I can't imagine having kids with somebody and then splitting up, and then you still have to. I just can't imagine splitting up with somebody and then having to see them again. And then if you have kids with them, obviously you have to see them again eventually. And some people get along just fine. I know somebody who's good friends with their ex-wife. I just find it a little strange. I don't know. I guess you don't know how you're going to react in certain situations until you're thrust into them, you know. Maybe this isn't the best way to go about this. Maybe I need to put the two halves on this. All right, let's punt before we get too far ahead of ourselves. This piece goes here. Okay, and it's going to be really hard to reach if I don't do it first. Let's do that first. Okay. That piece is on there, and I don't know why this is bent. There we go. All right. That's where we're going to start first. Then let's build outwardly. Outwardly? Outwardish. See another failure of instructions here. As it doesn't tell you, and we know this thing slides on here, but we don't know at what point you're going to want to keep this at. Let's take these two halves and put them together. And there's no pins or anything. They're just like touching each other. which I'm not a fan of. I mean, obviously, if the pins are in the wrong place, that's worse, but... And then this little guy slides on there. Does it literally slide on there? Holy crap, that's excellent. I literally can slide it on there. Okay, that's good, because now I don't have to decide where I'm going to put the gun just yet. I mean, obviously, it's got to be somewhere between... It's probably close to the end like that. Let me consult a photo. Okay. It looks like when it's rested, it's pretty close to that one little spot, which is there. All right, I want to glue it in place. It doesn't need to be... Oh, come on, Tony, pay attention. Let's drill out the end. Let's find a center hole. Way too large for the first one. And I'm fine if it goes through, and I'm also fine if it doesn't go through. Just needs to give the illusion of depth. So like I'm gonna stop it there. It didn't go all the way through. Now we'll go to the bigger one. That should be fine. Through. Now when I went through, it allows me to enlarge this a little easier. So much easier than working with white metal. But the main thing with working with white metal is because it's hard, you have to put so much horsepower behind it that you could end up making a bad choice. Like, if you're working with Matchbox cars and you try and take them apart, that's probably the most dangerous thing I've done hobby-wise. I do not like doing that. I'm super careful, and still it doesn't feel good doing it. Okay, now we can slide this in. And glue it in place. Oh shit, I still got a fingerprint on there? Well, that's careless of me. Well, let's not touch it again. I don't do that very frequently. What do you do? Switch pages on me? Okay, and then this piece attaches down here. A little bit of sandpaper takes that fingerprint away. It's not even noticeable. I just saw it happen. It's like, come on, man. All right, let's keep working our way out then. Which is these two pieces. I'm actually not going to put any glue at the top. I'm just going to glue the bottom, the two halves. Line them up. And open it ever so slightly. Like so. I'm building a pack 40 before I know that this little crinkle thing goes here towards the bottom. It sits on the outside of this mount. I just don't want to, I'll end up gluing this in place. I just don't want to commit to the height that the gun is going to be at, the angle the gun is going to be sitting at before it's on the vehicle, because I could be off a little bit and the next thing I know I got something shooting at the stars. I mean, it should be pretty straightforward to do it almost even, but I can glue that later. That's why I didn't want it glued at the top. Let's make sure these two halves of the post make the post here we go. Okay, so far so good. Not really any more difficult than anything else. All right, we got some shock absorbers to go in there. Okay, one on each side. We've got the little turn handles. Those, I hate turn handles because they're usually either mismolded or there's no hole for them, or it's got flash on it. It's really hard to clean off. I'm not a fan of those things on there, but we'll take the 2 6H's out and see what we're dealing with. That's FH. Six H, as you guys like to say. Now, okay. A lot of this stuff is just hard to deal with, not because it's small, but there's just nowhere to grab it from. It's not that I can't see it or anything, it's just let me use the old trick with this. It does have a little bit of a nub in the center. Okay. And this one goes directly into a hole, but the other one slides into like a slot. And I can tell you right now, that's probably not going to work. It never does. So I'm prepared to leave this stupid thing off, if that's the case. Might actually work this time. All right. Couple of shock absorbers. 11H and 12H. Okay. 12. This is the far side, supposedly. I'm sure I'm going to encounter something that's wrong on these instructions that have them flip-flopped. Not a big deal, we just got to be careful. Or catch it soon enough so it can be fixed. And then the little gun sight that looks almost like a little camcorder, 17. All right, Jared, thanks for stopping by as always. Catch you on the next one. It's probably evening for you. No, don't like Sunday evening. Not a fan of Sunday evenings. Okay. So this piece, we're going to test it, should go from up here to there. Looks like it fits just fine, except I'm going to go ahead and enlarge this hole. Because what ends up happening with some of these pieces, where you have a peg and a hole situation, you put the weld cement on there and it softens it. And if they don't already fit, then by the time you pull it back out, it ends up eating the material. And then you've got to, instead of it fitting like this completely all the way around it, you've got a situation where some of it's been eaten out and you've got, it was almost falling apart on you. And I've had that happen to me. So some of these parts, it's always a good idea to fit them before you put them on there and you're kind of pressed for time. I don't think I took enough of it off. And I've had that happen to me before. And I'm like, I don't want to keep making the same errors, mistakes, issues. And likewise, I can just as easily just fit this on here and put a little dab of this stuff and then walk away from it. I don't have to pre-glue it. Just move these things from the edge of the table so I don't have to fish for them underneath. Make it a little bit bigger. Hope I don't have to do more than that. There's not going to be much meat around this left. All right, let me see if I can put this on here and take a look at it. Without my finger being in the way. Yeah, okay, it fits on there. I want to put it in place and then weld it. Yeah, it's fitting flush all the way in there. Okay, so I can't really do better than that. Okay. Let's move off to the other side. Okay, now that we know how much we had to take off on that other one, let's just go to town, so to speak. Being careful not to break that little joint. Oh, that one fits great. Okay, cool. Okay, that's all together. Let's straighten out that. And over on this side, we need to put the little gun sight, which the gun sight shares the common peg with this one, but this peg is significantly bigger than this one, so we're just going to set it on there like this. Okay, pretty happy with this sub-assembly. Set it on its side off to the side there. Okay, we're done with step 3. They tell you to build an interior, I'm not listening. I'm not putting an interior on this thing. Here's the other gun stuff. The gun shield. Well, let's let this seal itself in place, then we'll go back to that. It's wanting me to do the suspension again. I guess I could do the suspension. All that stuff. With what we learned from the last one. Okay. Let's take the bottom hull out, and we're going to install those cross pieces already on here. And now we've got a built one of these you can use as a guide. Stuff sands pretty well. I mean, it's not the Armor Fast. The Armor Fast kit. Those Panzer IVs, it was incredible. I enjoyed sanding things down. It was so pleasant. Actually, nothing has been unsavory to sand down. The sandpaper is really good. It's just more of a discoloration than it is any little bits of that are sticking out. Okay, and what we learned is we want to attach all of these 12As, all of these suspension pieces here, this 12A, directly to the hull, and build it from the hull out, not build all these sub things. I mean, I'm fine putting the tires together and these things behind the tires, but that's it. When all this is together, it can get attached to these two pieces that are automatically going to be on the hull and nice in the location they need to be. So let's take out, we need 4 12As. So let's take the 12As and get those going. And since the bottom section is the same, I don't have to figure all this stuff out and what the best way to move forward with it is, because we've already done that. So this is A. We're looking for 12. 2 of them are here and 2 of them are on the other black sprue. Let's cut these guys off. And then come over here and take the other 2 off. glue all these pieces in place because they have locators on here. It keeps you from getting them off a little bit, and then we have issues with the suspension. It is a little distracting that it's different colored plastics. I wish it was all one. Especially the black. I'm not really a big fan of the black plastic because it's like extra shiny. And you're like have to sometimes like squint your brain to see what's going on. Okay, here, a little piece of flash that came off of them. Now we'll put it back in. And it's kind of weird when it's has so much tint in it that when it smears and stuff, you can see like the black like soot and stuff color. It's kind of, same thing happened when I was putting together the separate link tracks that were molded in like a metallic color. The metallic stuff was getting off in places, and it just kind of just throws you off. I mean, it works just fine. It just kind of throws you off. So, okay, so that's all in place. So then we're going to take the part that goes on there and make sure that they're 90 degrees. And that piece is 17A, and it should be 4 of them, and we'll install them on there. And then we'll do all the road wheel sub-assemblies, and then we'll attach that to here. But to do all that together and then put it on here, that doesn't work. That doesn't work for me. But I have 4 of these, and I built one, so I pretty much got this down. And I'm going to build them in a row. I mean, why not? I'm going to build these things anyways. I might as well get them going. Okay, there's 2. The other 2 are going to be here. You have problems seeing detail through black. It's only because it's extra shiny. Like, I always prime in black and don't have a problem with it. You know, do what works for you, or don't do what doesn't work for you. Like, figures, I prime them in black. Well, you should do that. I said, you should mind your own business. I don't tell other people what color they should prime in. Everybody's on a crusade. No. Oh, that reminds me, since Barnes, because of your icon, reminded me. Did you watch that series, The White Queen? Is it worth watching? I was going to watch it and then realized it's not available anywhere I have access to. I was going to watch it a few months ago when we were doing our... Well, I guess technically it's a year and a half ago or something when we were doing our War of the Roses thing. War of the Roses campaign game. But I did read the book by, or had it read to me, Dan Jones, the War of the Roses one, and thoroughly enjoyed it. It was a lot less complicated than I thought it was going to be. Of course, he has a good way of explaining things. Okay, I'm gonna pull the model out because this is like mind bending. Okay, we want the flat part facing up. All right. So we'll put some here, we'll put some here, we'll put some here, and put some here. This light gray is like the best color for models to be in. It's a perfect balance. You're gonna prime it anyways. That goes like that. It goes like so. That goes like so. Okay, these little pieces that go in there, I'm going to attach them after we do all the sub-assemblies. Damn chatters. I'm sorry. I don't watch TV. Okay, well, you're not missing anything. I think historical shows just kind of a nice, like, starting point for something. Although, don't learn history from them, because they're all, like, you know, go off in different directions. I'll be right back. I need to check on something. I'll be right back in a moment. Okay, well, we're going to do this one as a wrap because it's been 2 hours or whatever, but I'm going to go out for breakfast. So, anyways, as always, thanks for coming by, folks, and we'll get you guys on the next one where we can work on the Packwagen. And it can join its little neighbor here. Ooh, look, different color, subtly different color plastic. But